how long have you been using StreamYard, ETT?
Well, I've been, well, here's my little story. I've been doing videos on YouTube since 2016, but I've been using StreamYard app for probably 2.5 years by now.
Oh. Okay, so I don't have to tell you about like
Nice.
the cross on top of the screen and the cross below on the screen because you've already
Right.
gone through that. Yeah, okay.
Right, right. Yeah, a buddy of mine, Jay, he actually pays for the premium, so he allows me to use his thing, so we're able to like put a banner over the screen or have 10 people on,
Yeah,
perks like that you get.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's what
I
that's
cover the
now
screen.
that's a bloody good friend.
ETT
That's a
caught
good
on to
friend.
that quick. I cover the screen because I try to get people that give people a chance. And a few times I've been bombed, foreign bombed,
Right,
and
right. Yeah, I know what you
so
mean, man. It happens to me too, so that's why I put a cover over the screen. It's, a really ingenious way of making sure if somebody gets on that's going to do that, you have a way to boot them without the stream getting strike. Because what people are doing, because they think it's funny to go around on live streams, and try to get the video taken down by putting up inappropriate pictures and stuff. It's like, really,
Yeah,
what type
fucking
of
bullshit.
what type
Yeah.
of low
yeah,
life is laying around all day in their mom's basement, trying to get these
that's what
streams
I
to go
say.
That's
You got to be
fucking
pretty. Like,
I can
who
I can
does that? Right?
well I can answer that question. It's not a rhetorical question, is it? It's an actual question, and there is
Mm.
actually, and so there is people wanting to do that with mental disabilities or mental disorders, and
True.
because of all these cuts in budgets on mental health, they're out there. You know,
Yeah,
they've been that's I mean, this is the result of that, right?
yeah.
They're
Right.
recruiting
Yeah.
they're recruiting and these kind of people and giving these kind of people missions. That's
They
what's
probably
happening.
pay them to do it.
Yeah, and so they're out there in the wild and they're paid agents too.
Yeah.
That's
Like, let
what's
me
happening.
give you an example real quick, because I've been, doing YouTube for a
Would
few
you
years.
agree with that,
So
ET?
yeah,
ETT?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. There was a guy a few years ago who used to make videos or leave comments, talking smack about me and some of my other dudes, where he would literally do it like 24 hours a day for literally 3 years straight. The same person would make accounts and come back and try
That's
to
crazy.
try to put stuff up to, like, he even tried to dox some of the people, put false allegations. It's truly a shame that there's people out here who will go to that extent. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, they need to just, get a life or something at this point. It's like, damn.
Right. I think people pay people to do that. Like, I get why Globers get mad, especially people who got degrees in teaching. I don't know what they would have a degree in, but if the heliocentric model falls apart, so does their degree. And all that money, they're mad. They wasted money in college.
How many
So,
how many of y'all on here are flat earthers? Because you mentioned Glober.
I don't
No, I
label
am.
myself a flat
Well,
earther
I
no
didn't say
more,
I'm.
but
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm in
Yeah,
that
I
kind of
would.
league. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
I,
consider myself to be a flat
Yeah,
earther. I don't
uh,
believe what the government's telling us about that. I mean,
more on the
NASA's been
crater
caught too
deal.
many times.
go ahead,
NASA,
ET.
yeah, I was gonna say, I would consider myself a flat earther too. I mean, you can't honestly look into NASA and what they're saying and not be at least skeptical in some sort of the word. It's astonishing to me how
What?
people just believe what NASA tells them when they literally admit that they can't go to the moon with the technology we have today, but yet somehow they did it 50 years ago. Just on that's a red
What?
flag to start.
When you first heard of flat Earth, like, what was the first thing that was said that drew you
Well,
in?
Well, when I first came to Flat Earth, I looked into Flat Earth when I was 14 years old, right? So ever
Mm.
since then, I got hooked on the subject. Of course, at first I thought, well, yeah, that seems a little weird. But then I started to look into it. Like, say, for instance, the NASA fakery was like, yeah, that
What year
seems
were you
kind of weird.
born? If you don't mind me
I,
asking, I was just because you said
I,
14.
I was born in 2002.
Oh, okay, okay. 14.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm 20. I'm 21 right now.
Wow,
Oh,
so
you're a
that's
young guy.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty.
I've been making videos on
Your
YouTube
your
since I
voice
was
is very mature sounding
Yeah.
for
Right.
Well, good for you,
right,
man.
right. I get what you're saying. But yeah, definitely, I started off
Yeah,
back
who's the
then,
potato?
even when I was. Go ahead. Go ahead. Somebody was saying something.
Yeah, I
I
heard
think that might
to
have.
me.
Yeah, it's all right. Carry on.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
E-
As I
e-
was saying,
mm.
definitely with NASA stuff. Of course, at first, it's like, well, yeah, this is stupid to say the Earth isn't a globe. But then, you look into some of these things to consider. It's like, well, wait, all the pictures of the Earth from space are all CGI, and then if you look, there's clouds that are duplicated onto multiple different pictures, and the continents are different sizes and shapes and colors on different images. It's like, yeah, that can't be real. So it's one thing after another. And then I watched what is this, The Clues by Mark Sargent, which I still watch him even today. Um, so just all these things, led me to say, well, yeah, they're definitely lying about, the shape of where we live.
Water too. Like
Right.
water and seeing the same constellations 365 24/7 destroys the globe. That's all you got to say is water levels out.
Yeah.
Or looks to level out. It don't matter if it's a puddle, a pond, an ocean, and then seeing the same stars every night destroys the globe. That's all I ever got to say when I'm battling that person.
Yeah, like one example is with this thing that got taken down last year. What is it? The Georgia Guidestones, which I almost got to go see those when I was in Georgia. But the fun fact about them is they actually had like a hole in the center of one of the pillars, and you could look through it and you could see, I believe it was Polaris that you could see, or one of the
Yeah,
popular stars in the
Polaris.
night sky. And
Polaris.
these things were built, I believe it was either the 70s or the 80s that these things were set up. So how is it then that for all of these decades, you were able to look through this hole and see the exact same star in the same position? That can't happen if the world is rotating 1,000 miles an hour and then flying throughout infinite space at an
Right.
unimaginable speed. It just can't happen.
Well, what you're
There
saying
you
there
got it.
Right.
just be the reason for it to have been destroyed, because flat earthers were using that as evidence, right? And so, because they
Yeah,
want to
could,
hide it
could be a
out
reason.
there in public, and we will, and flat earthers were pointing it out. Maybe that's the reason for them destroying it. I mean, it need
Yeah, it
not be
could be.
true.
It could be. Like I know they said there was supposed to be like a time capsule underneath it, but then when they searched for the time capsule, they couldn't find nothing.
That shit was an acid tablet.
Imagine now.
Yeah, the globe has been destroyed, and it's sad to see so many people rather, it's easier. Like, one of my favorite quotes is it's easier to fool somebody than convince them they've been fooled. And that's so
Right.
factual.
Yeah.
I could talk to my friends till I'm blue in the face, and they'll just give me the fluoride look. Like, duh. And it's like, where's your common sense? It's
Yeah.
been like, the common sense has been sucked out of these people's brains.
Yeah, but, like
But
you
it-
said, you can see it in a puddle, you can see it in a pool, you can see it in a lake, you can see it on the ocean.
Yo,
Well,
like let me give you guys an example that backs up what he was just saying. I literally today I was having a conversation with a person who claims to be into conspiracies and claims to be aware of what's happening in the world. But then we went off onto the topic of Freemasons.
does he
and
claim
he-
into in conspiracies or into
he-
conspiracy theories?
I guess we could say he claims to be an intelligent person that knows
Go
what's
ahead.
happening in the world, right? So here's
Okay.
what I want to get at. So when we talk about the Freemasons, he made it sound like, well, the Freemasons as an organization, they're not doing anything. There's nothing bad with them. They're actually there to bring good in the world. I'm thinking to myself, I was like, dude, you really mean to tell me that you've been looking into all these things in the world and you don't realize that this organization called the Freemasons, that they're clearly doing shady things behind closed doors? Like you seriously can't realize that? And he's like, nope, they're all good, nothing to see here, folks. So it just
Right.
astonishes me.
Right.
Just one-track minds, dude. One-track minds.
Yeah, it's already been
If you're not doing
programmed, that one.
anything wrong, why are you here?
Yeah, right. Not like there's anything wrong with it. Some of these people are my best friends.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he told me. He told me that his grandfather was a 33-degree Freemason. So he was like, oh, so you mean to tell me that he
brother.
was doing something? Go ahead. You said what?
So let me ask you a question, just so I can get an idea of your frame of thought, so to speak. So, on top of whatever the realm is, where do you think we're at, bro?
Like, where do I think we're? Like
Your
the
opinion,
physical,
not anyone else.
Yeah. So you mean with that question?
Yes.
You
Do
mean
you
like
think
where I
we're in a
think the
matrix? Do
physical
you think
Earth
we're in
is?
a hellbound?
Well,
Where do you think
the
we're
way I
at?
would.
I mean,
All right. So
there's no
let me
correct answer
rephrase
here,
the.
man.
Yeah, let me rephrase the question so I understand it right.
You're not
When you
under.
We
ask me
could
that,
meet up when people speak, mute up, so then there's no interference because it's kind of hard to
Oh,
hear everyone.
yeah. So as far as what I
What
think the world
I
is
mean,
and where the world. Go ahead.
what I mean is basically there's no right or wrong answer to this. I just want to know
Yeah.
who we're talking to, and I mean, because we're all pretty much on the level as far as like-minded people. You know what I mean? And there's
Right.
there's
Right. I hear you.
really truly, and it's seldom, man, that there's an argument to be had here. But I'm just trying to get to know you a little bit better, brother. That's all.
Yeah. I hear the question. So what I would say is where the world actually is. It's Well, when we go to the scriptures, it doesn't tell us exactly where the world is. There are verses that speak about the earth hangs on nothing. So the earth could be hanging somewhere in a void underneath the firmament where we are all at right now. Or God could have it on some type of table or something. As I said, none of us truly know the answer to this question, so we can all just
Well,
speculate.
I
But
mean,
if someone was
if
to ask me,
if the Earth is just a footstool to God, and the Earth and the firmament would be like the cushion,
well, you see, here's how I
Okay,
look at that
so
verse.
I mean, it would have to be on the floor.
Well,
So
let me. I
it
know
would
what
have
you're
to be on
referring
the
to.
floor. If
Well,
it's a
here's the thing.
footstool, if it's a
Well, here's the thing.
footstool, there's a floor too.
All right.
So
Well, let me respond to that real quick. I know the verse you're talking about is a verse that speaks about the earth as his footstool, and I've seen people say, like say for instance,
Let him finish.
wait, let me finish real quick. I see people say, well, well, it shows the earth can't be a globe because what footstool spins. But then I would respond and say, well, the truth is when you deal with the verse that says the earth is God's footstool, it's actually like a metaphorical language. I wouldn't say that literally means that he's laying back with his feet up on top of the firmament. I wouldn't say that, but it just
what?
symbolizes that it's like a metaphorical speech, and we
Right.
see that all throughout the Bible.
So it's so. What is the metaphor about? About the shape?
Well, in the instance when it says the earth is his footstool, it just basically means that he's the one who has control over what's happening on the earth, that God is in control over all of it. It doesn't literally mean that he's kicking back on the couch with his feet upon the firmament. I wouldn't take that perspective. Now, let me ask you a question real quick. Would you agree that the Bible has symbolism in it?
Right.
Would you agree with me on that?
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the Bible's written in code. Like Jacob's ladder is the spine, and you could tell the story as it being the human body. You could tell the story in the Bible as it being the universe, from micro to macro.
Let's get back to the God
I'm
that you're
not
just
a
talking about
biblical
there.
or Abrahamic religion.
Yeah, let's get back to this God of this world that you're saying. Yeah, okay, he's not actually there, laying back with his feet on the earth like a footstool. But you're saying he's in control of the earth. Well, if he's in control of the earth, and we've got I believe. I'm not say believe, but I am starting to see that this place has an artificial intelligence that's in control. So is God artificial intelligence?
I think we are God. All of us are a piece of the Creator.
God is not artificial intelligence. Per definition, it's not. That's
L,
why, that's
electricity.
that's why artificial intelligence is called artificial intelligence and not intelligence.
Well, I
You could
mean, gods are artificial. You can make an artificial god.
look at the definition of God.
Yeah, but that's getting back into semantics when I was just responding to you conceptually, and not semantically. So, um, yeah, it's.
What do you think, ET? Do you
What do I
think
think?
we're all a different version of the Creator?
Well,
Like, I think
the way
we're God, but the Creator is above all. Because people
well,
use the
let me
word God all the time.
yeah, well, let me abbreviate on that a little bit because you see, here's where people here's the misconception most people have, right? As you ask them, well, what is God, right? Or what do you think when you hear the word God? They'll say, oh, well, yeah, the Most High. But here's the thing, though. They don't know that the Bible calls multiple other things God. Say, for instance, if you read Psalms chapter 82, verse 6, it says, for ye are gods, the sons of the Most High. So the Bible calls men gods. Now, here's the
Yeah.
thing. You have to understand the context. When it says that men are gods, that doesn't literally mean that we're on the level with the supreme God. Same thing with how
No, no.
The Bible calls Satan God too. That doesn't mean that he's on the level with the supreme God, because we find out when we read things like Job chapter 2, among other parts of the Bible, Satan gets orders down from God and he has to follow what God tells him. So we see the hierarchy between God and the lesser gods underneath him. So as far as us, I would say the Bible does call us gods, but we're certainly not on the supreme level of the supreme God. That's
Yeah.
how I would look at it.
How do you, um, like these giant trees? Have you looked into these Titan
Yeah,
trees?
you're talking about like there's a theory that people call it no a forest on flat Earth, where they talk about like the mountains in the world are basically like the remains of ancient giant trees. Like one example would be this mountain called what is
Devil's
this?
Devil's
Tower.
Towers.
Yeah, the Devil's Tower. That's what I was thinking of. You know what I gotta say? It is really interesting when you look into some of this stuff. But then other people make some points and say, well, wait, if that is the trunk of the tree, well, where's the rest of the tree at? Like, wouldn't it be laying down somewhere close? So again, I'm on the fence with it. It does seem like an interesting theory, but I can't,
That's
100%
that's
say
my
like,
my question too. Is if these big trees, which I know they're tree stumps, the mesas, the plateaus, some of them, some mountains, could be dead titans. I'm still up in the air with the titans, but I know there was 12 to 14 foot people. There's tribes all over this realm where there's 12 to 14 foot people.
yeah. One
South
thing I could
America,
agree.
there was the what was the name of them in South America? I always forget.
Maya,
In
Uh,
Venezuela.
yeah.
Quetzalcoatl,
Remember Dean? I
Yes.
forgot the name of them, but yeah,
Mm.
Quetzalcoatl.
I think they're
Yeah,
hiding
That's
land
it.
from us too.
one thing I could agree on is I do believe there were big people that exist. Like, say, for instance, they claim that the tallest man ever was a guy named Robert Wadlow or something like that, and he was like what 8 foot 11, something like that. So one
No,
inch shy of
dude,
9 foot.
that's way too.
Wait, let me finish real quick. I was going to say they claim that was the biggest guy ever, but the truth is that's actually not so, because they're actually hiding skeletal remains found around the world that are, say, 13, 14, 15 feet tall, so they're
And they're
definitely
calling
hiding
them
that from.
dinosaur bones, right?
Well, I disagree with that. I believe dinosaurs walked the earth,
No,
but that's an
I think
entirely
there's
different topic.
this. I've seen this guy showing pictures on Google Earth, right? And these Google Earth pictures actually show human footsteps, but
Yeah.
they're 400 meters across. Okay, and
Yeah.
so that's like a third of a mile.
Let me pull some pictures up.
Yeah, but the thing with that though, right? If that was real, it's like, well, where are
That
the
is
other
real. That is real.
They could
But
have
I'm
moved to
saying,
the
like,
outer
where are
lands.
the other? Okay.
You can see those steps. You can
I don't
actually see.
believe
But
they all died.
think about this though. With that, imagine how much food would be needed for a person of that stature in order to live day to day.
That's, dude.
Right?
That's a whole. That's a for. I mean, for that question to be asked, you first need to establish the belief in such a thing to be real, and you're not even willing to believe for it to be real, but you're willing to ask me that question. So that's a fallacy. That's, how do you call that?
I mean, but here's something I don't like though, because when you
No,
deal with
I
certain
mean, are
people,
you here? Do you hear what I'm saying?
on.
Do you, do you hear what
Let,
I'm
let,
saying?
hold on.
No, you're not being
I hear.
honest. You're
Hey,
being
dude, just give me 10 seconds.
you
Listen.
you are being intellectually
Uh,
dishonest, and
okay.
you know it, and you're trying to deflect
Excuse
it.
me.
That's
Could I please
okay.
just have five
That's
seconds?
okay. That's okay. I just want to point it out that it's happening, and I
Okay.
will yield now, and you can have the floor.
Okay. Now, real quick, if you would have let me speak for 5 seconds, you would have
No, no, that's
literally.
not quick. You're going to take a lot of time
Oh,
here.
okay. I was gonna tell him this is not the first time I've heard this idea. So if he would have allowed me to say that, he would have not even had to go on the whole rant. If he would have just gave me 5 seconds to clarify that this is not the first time I've heard somebody say this. You can continue.
Well, for
Um,
me, I'd like to say that when we see the sun in the mornings, if you live near the ocean or a lake or something, when you wake up in the morning and the first light comes across the water, you can see the sun on the water from where it is right to your feet. That to me is the sun walking on water right there. And so, people talk to me and say, oh, obviously you don't believe in God or you don't believe in a creator. I believe there's a creator. But whether I believe in such as a God having a son that's going to come back and save everybody, I'm not on board with that at all. In
Yo,
fact,
have you
I
ever
think
heard?
people
You
are
ever
waiting
heard
on
the
promises
idea?
that are not going to
I
ever
think
come to fruition.
You ever heard of the theory that
I
people
think the
have in the
sun
Bible?
is.
They say that, yeah, they say that the sun in the sky is actually God. Have you ever heard of that belief? And they get it from the verse, I believe it's Psalms 84, verse 10 or verse 11. It says, "For the Lord God is a sun and a shield." So they say that he's the sun in the sky. Have you ever heard that idea before?
yeah, I've heard that. Definitely.
But my
And it
question with
makes
that
sense. It
though
does make
is here's
sense.
the problem though. If they're going to use the part in the verse where it says he's the sun, and they'll say, well, see, that proves he's the sun. But what about where it says that he's the shield? So by logic, they got to say that that means God's actually like a wooden shield as well. If the part about the sun is literal, so that would be a problem I'd have with that interpretation.
Well,
I can only go on what I see around me. And I know when I wake up and I look out across the water and the sun comes to my feet, that's to me is how it is. I don't have to contest whether that's a replication of the Father or his Son. I can just say that's part of the creation that gave us this Son as to welcome the new day. Hell, man, when you've had a cold, bloody night, you welcome that sun's heat,
Hey,
right?
hallelujah.
huh.
I mean, and what we want to do as humans, and as especially as men, we want to understand this realm, and we might get parts of it or the skeleton of it, but we will never get the whole of it. We won't, and we got to
Unless we
come.
travel.
I mean, no, you will. I mean, yeah, you will still know parts of it and most parts of it, but not all parts of it. Not even when you put all your minds together with all humans as they are doing, and not even then. with all men that travel or every part of the world, and that know all the money and that have all the knowledge, can buy all the weapons. Not even them to get. They cannot even figure it out.
How do we know? You know, the outer lands don't have these Titan trees that still exist. I mean, they tell us we're on a globe and there's nothing left. They got everyone looking up when we should be looking here. And they got us, you know, we can't even travel. People say we're free. We're not. They call it freedom for a reason, because we must be dumb if we think we're free.
Yeah.
You ever heard of
Fully
the
agree,
theory
Chuck.
that people have where they think like this dude, what's his flat earther called? David Weiss. He believes that
Yeah,
the
David
UFOs are coming
Weiss,
from,
Eric Dubay.
yeah, they believe that the UFOs are coming from like the outer lands of the flat Earth. That's like
Look at this map. I have other maps, but this was sent to me by Dean that's on the panel now. I've never seen this map before. But it's pretty interesting. I'm not saying it's factual. I'm just saying they say aliens come from outer space. Yeah, outer space, out of our space.
Well, yeah,
And then
Right.
I wanted to show this picture.
yeah, this giant boomerang. This giant boomerang, right? Yeah.
You think that's a boomerang or an axe?
Well, is that not a boomerang?
Looks like an axe.
Yeah, it does look kind of like an axe.
Oh yeah, now I see it. Yeah, now I see it it looks like an axe. It does.
I think these Titan trees, I like how the guy put regular sized tree stumps next to the Titan ones, but they could have been cut down by lasers. I don't, if the giants, they portray them as these dumb caveman giants. Hell no. Look at the buildings that are in the 1800s that the taller people built. They had knowledge beyond our even understanding.
Are you talking about the Tartaria thing?
Well, I don't think Tartaria was only like near Russia and China. It wasn't the whole realm, but there is the same architecture that generated electricity. That's why it's called architecture. It's the texture that creates an arc. Just like brick buildings are becoming obsolete because bricks create an electrical charge too, but they want everything wood. Like I don't get it, but
concrete, right?
Yeah. I mean, the architecture from back in the days, like these right here, that have somatic symbols on them, cathedrals or cathedrals.
That's the one in Paris, dude. That's the how do you call this?
We didn't build these.
Notre Dame. That's the Notre Dame.
Yeah,
that's the one that caught on fire back in like 2018 or 19, right?
They took off the spires. They took off the spires. Can you zip back to the previous picture? Because there used to be spires on those towers. You can see that those towers are actually there. I mean, there should be spires on top of that, right?
Oh, you mean like antennas?
Well, not antennas, but like copper, spires.
Yeah.
A roof
I know what you mean.
Copper roof.
I got this church that's in the city I live in, and you could even see at the top they got kind of, which would have probably copper in those. You see the antennas on the top. They got a few left, but nothing. And then this building, that's also in the city I live in. It's got the red and white bricks. When a lot of energy, what are them places? No, them too, but shoot, I can't. Not the atomic, nuclear power plants have the red and white stripes, just like these buildings that created energy. And all of them have some cymatic symbols too.
Yeah, and also like the like how you call these the light towers that
Oh,
on the ships.
lighthouse. Yep,
Lighthouse.
lighthouse. Yep,
They're
yep.
also white and red, right? Always lighthouses.
Everything
That's a
has to
fact.
Yeah.
do
Yep.
with energy.
Yes, lighthouse.
Yeah, I'm glad you came up, ET, because it's always cool to have new faces and
Yeah.
New
you know,
perspectives.
yeah,
Yeah, I hear you, man. It's
Yeah,
hard
for
to
sure.
find new life streams to join these days. It seems
it
like,
is.
you know what I'm saying?
How did you find this channel?
Well,
Well,
the way I
because
found
everybody.
it is I went on YouTube and I looked up open panel or StreamYard, and then I clicked the live button. Then I could scroll through
Wow,
what was currently live. That's how I find new channels sometimes.
Awesome, awesome.
wow.
So we're not
You ever seen?
Good for you. Glad to
we're
have
not that
this.
deeply buried then, Charles. You know.
That's
There
a
you
good
go.
thing.
Yeah, thank you, boy.
You ever seen these World Fair pictures, ETT?
Yeah, I've seen them before. I wouldn't. Here's my perspective. I don't think too much about the Tartaria or World Fair. I don't buy into the Tartaria idea. I think a lot of these images that you get that they show you, I think it has to do with aesthetic looks. Basically, like say for instance, they might make a big building with a 20-foot door, not because there were big people that needed to go in, but rather because it was an aesthetic look. It made the place look fancy. Or same thing with the pillars at the top. It was just a fashion design, basically. That's
You
how I
don't
look
think
at a lot of the
you
information.
don't you don't think it had anything to do with the frequencies or anything?
You said what? It cut out for me.
What about the what? You don't think that they were maybe played part
Yeah.
with frequency?
This picture's been
What?
colorized. This picture's from the
What about
1890s. They got
what,
electricity that's wireless.
what about
How do we know that's what it looks like though?
Star,
Because that's a
Star,
colorized picture of it.
Because I have black and white pictures too with the same thing.
Right, but I'm saying, how do we know that it didn't just add the color in now? Like, how do we know that it actually looked like this?
Well, they did add the color in, but I have black and white ones from the 1890s. Like cameras, are electricity. I think is
And
way
so
older than we're
You
being
ever
told.
heard of
okay,
you
so
cats ever heard of something called the Baghdad battery? You ever heard of that before?
hey,
Yeah.
but asking that question, right? Is there a way to know it?
Is there a way to know what about the building he showed?
Yeah,
back,
is there a way to answer that question? Is there a way to know whether it's real or
the
not?
Baghdad?
You want me to answer his first or the other guy was?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. So your question to me was, how do I know this is real or fake? Is that what you said?
Well, yeah. Well,
These are
for
the same
anybody,
buildings.
for
Look, that one and this one.
yeah,
Same
Yeah.
one.
My response. Okay, my response is it took an old image from back then, you colorized it, and it added the imagery in. That would be my perspective. Hell, I could be wrong, but that's how I would answer that question.
I will
Okay.
tell you wrong.
Yeah, that's
I
a
mean,
very
you're
awesome
welcome. You're
question.
welcome to say that. But again, my personal view after looking into it, I personally don't believe it in the Tartaria theory. I think most of those buildings it just has like an an aesthetic look to the design of the building on purpose because it's a more a fancy design. That's how I look at a lot of those buildings. That's my
And so
personal perspective.
ETT,
I want to say too, ET, that in New Zealand here, I know it's a long way from the rest of the world, so to speak.
I mean, I
Uh,
actually enjoy
but
your
we
answer.
do have buildings. We do. Hang on, boy. We do have buildings here, ET, in our country that have got big, tall doorways
Right.
as well. And I don't think they were made like that aesthetically. There are windows that are half buried, and you can go down to the next level. I've been studying liquefaction and earthquakes and how water and earth vibration can submerge a whole building.
Well,
So
let me give you an example. There's a town not far from me where, say, 150 years ago, the street used to be lower than what it is now. Or another example, if you go over to Jerusalem, the streets of the ancient city are located right underneath the modern day streets. You can even pay money to go down under the modern streets, and you can walk on the original pathways back from the ancient city. So again, over time, the height of a land can rise or go down. So I wouldn't say that means that there was another civilization there, just because the windows were closer to the ground. I disagree with that perspective.
What's your take on these star forts?
You said what?
What's your take on the star forts, ET?
You said star fort or
The star forts.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
The star forts. FORTS. But you might want to look into that.
Oh, are you talking about? Oh, hold on a second. Are you talking about like in the?
They're all.
Like, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Like they built military forts in the star shape. Is that what you're talking about?
no, not really.
Yeah.
These are old buildings.
Yeah, we're
yeah.
thinking about something.
That's what he's talking about. That's what he's talking about. Yeah, it's
Totally.
called. Listen, he's a young guy, so the way he knows it is military forts. Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
there's a few people talking. So now
Yeah,
I'm confused. Did I get it right with saying military forts, or did you say I was wrong saying?
No, the way you know it is military
Yeah,
forts built in
they're-
a star fort. That's
right.
what we're
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know about that, and I would say that the armies back then they built them that way
yeah.
for certain particular reasons. It was beneficial to build them in that star formation.
Yeah.
But what was the reason you brought that up though? Like, was there a point you were going to make with that? Because the way I look at it,
I was just
is it
asking if
helps
you were
defend
familiar
the
with
town.
those as well. We're talking about
Yeah.
old buildings.
Right. I know
Right.
that. But I was
And
thinking
they
you were
keep
going to bring
finding
something
more
up
of them.
saying that it had something to do with what you were saying. That's what I thought you were going to allude to.
No. I was just wondering if you were familiar with that type of architect.
All right, yeah. I get what you're saying.
Aesthetics and things of that nature. I was wondering what your take was on the star forts as well.
Right. And I think, again, the reason why they made them in star formations, it could have multiple reasons. For one, I believe I was watching a video where they explained this before. It can help protect the fort from an outside attack. Say, for example, they shoot a cannonball at it, it's not going to go directly through the wall like how it would with a castle that has just like a straight line wall. Among other reasons why this would be beneficial, and it would be hard to penetrate the fort because it's protected by all sides. They can see all sides of the wall, so it'd be hard to penetrate the fort. So that would be my answer.
Yeah, I just
And I think
Just a heads up, I do got to drop in
well
5
done.
minutes.
Was
I
that-
can
they're
say
right.
5 minutes.
Hold on.
Oh, you're good, brother. You're good. Stop in anytime.
Yeah, I'll definitely stop by again if I see you guys live sometime.
You say, do you?
I didn't hear you.
I'll take
do
care,
streams too, man?
ET. All the best to you.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
do.
man, what's up with the volume? I just want to say, I've always think, like, even in the
Yeah,
Bible, they
I'll
talk about,
sub to your channel and check you out too, man. That way you'll know who I am.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Even in the Bible, they talk about electricity.
You got a verse on that
Because
for me?
Satan is the god of material things, and low-level light materializes. And Jesus, they show with a halo, and he's being a spirit, which is when we die, we shed the material flesh and go up like any form of light that isn't materialized. So everything's energy, and I think electricity is way older, and these weapons is nothing new. These direct energy weapons, you know, who knows if these wars in the heavens where the giant people fighting with weapons, how did deserts become deserted? It looks like nuclear bombs annihilate. Like, what melts brick? Direct energy weapons.
Well, one thing we could agree on is it sounds like you believe nuclear weapons exist, so we could agree on that because a lot of flat earthers believe they were fake. So that's something we could agree on, that they were real, right?
I kind of believe they're actually EMF as well.
Well, I was talking to the guy who mentioned that the desert looked like they turned that way by a nuclear weapon. So I would imply that he must believe they're real to make a statement that say they look like that. Because if he didn't believe in them, then he wouldn't suggest that as a possibility, right?
Well, I think like the Paradise Fires, where houses were turned to dust, and they were made of steel, brick, tin, you know, and all that's left is a pile of dust, and yet you got a tree standing there, still got green leaves on it. You got lawns around the house where it was, still got green grass.
You ever look into the city of Sodom and Gomorrah? They found it over by what is it?
Yeah. I mean, I suggest that same event was what caused pillars of salt, so to speak.
Hell, it could have been, possibly. You know, because not every event that happened in the past is recorded in the scriptures. So hell, who knows?
Direct energy weapons definitely exist.
Yep.
Now, atomic weapons, I don't know. I'm not saying they do or they don't. I don't know. But I know direct energy weapons do.
Yeah, but anyway, guys, I'm gonna get going. I thank you for having me on. It was a good conversation.
Cool.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right, you guys do as well.